Excited to talk about ball finally. It's been 147 days, I looked it up, since the basketball team came off the court in Kansas City, and we had to cancel a scrimmage in the spring. And certainly COVID-19 has been a challenge for all of us, whether you're inside of athletics or you're outside of athletics. But I'm proud of the way our team, our players, our coaches, our staff, our medical staff has handled this. I think our trainers and doctors have done a great job. We've had obviously a few positive. Everybody's recovered. We had great news yesterday. Tested a tremendous amount of people inside the program, players, staff, a lot of our support groups, 100% negative. But we got plans in place, and we've certainly are in the kind of the process of finalizing those plans with alternative plans for when we get sick or when we test positive, because it's probably going to happen. I'm proud of the discipline and all the negative tests that we've had for quite some time, but there's some things that are out of our control. We're going to control what we control within this building, and that's our attitude, our effort, and the ability to plan for change. And I think we certainly see this season as one. It's already changed. The schedule's already changed, and some other factors have changed with practice and the schedule moving back, and I can go into some of that if you guys want me to go into detail, but just getting ready to get into it, and I'm proud of the way our team has really handled this, but mainly the staff and our trainers and our doctors, and I'm very, very thankful for them, and they've done a tremendous job and put a lot of time and effort into this. I'm excited to coach this team. I really am. I think we're better. I know we're better. 50, right around 50 returning lettermen, and I think many of them have made strides and improved during the quarantine period and over the summer in terms of the voluntary work. But really over the last few weeks, I think you can see some changed bodies with a few of them, and proud of them. Counted up this morning, just over 40 newcomers, new faces since January, whether it's grad transfers, junior college guys, and I'm going to go over a few of them here in just a minute. True freshmen, preferred walk-ons, so a lot of new faces into this program. Guys, we got a lot of work ahead of us. We're going to get in the fight in the Big 12. We were in it last year. The bottom line is we have to earn ways to win. We have to win close games. I'm certainly aware of that. We've addressed that ad nauseum over the summer and the quarantine period. I'm excited to get in the fight with these guys because I know we will be in the fight. We're going to win games here at Tech. I know we're better than we were last year, and I'm excited to coach these guys. And even in the midst of a lot of unknowns that we can't control, and we're going to do our very, very best. We will not make excuses. This will not be an excuse-driven team, I promise you, or program. And we will deal with whatever's thrown our way, whether it's canceled games or a few guys getting sick, the head coach test positive some point, we will move on. We will keep moving. And that's the thing that I've been proud of our guys. They've been very receptive to that type of spirit. And it's not trudge forward and not have any care or concern about the virus. We're going to do everything right. We're going to have a mix of virtual meetings and in-person meetings. We're going to be wearing masks at all times. I feel kind of weird right now without one on here in the facility, to be honest with you, but these guys are properly distanced. Don't worry. But everything from sanitized to the way we're doing our locker rooms, we're going to have split locker rooms this year in terms of we will activate the game day locker room and spacing guys out, the meetings, the weight room, all of that has been well thought out. I think we've got a great plan. I'm excited to get into practice tomorrow and to start watching these guys in a real practice and go. So let's move on. Let me do one more thing, and then we'll open it up for questions. Let me go over just some roster updates for you guys to kind of fill you in on a lot of stuff. First thing I got is new additions to the team. Some of these have been announced. I haven't talked about many of them, to be honest with you, just because of the timing. But graduate transfers, new to the team, additions over the summer. Josh Berger, all right, a senior offensive tackle from Wofford, will compete at both tackle spots. Eric Monroe is a senior safety from LSU. He has 1 year, just got in here about a week ago. we got better the minute he walked into the complex in a lot of ways. I'm excited to watch Eric and what he brings to the team. Jacob Morgenstern, graduate transfer from Duke. A linebacker, will be all over the field in special teams, but he's going to add to our linebacker room and compete for playing time there. Very mature kid from Duke, does a great job already in learning and picking up some stuff. And then the last one is Chadarius Townsend. Chadarius has 2 years left. Alabama, played running back, receiver, and DB. We'll focus on running back. I think he's glad. He's kind of settled. And a really good talent. Excited to watch him. And then the last one is Keyshawn Brumfield. Keyshawn is got 2 years left. He'll play safety. Will be active in special teams. Transfer from Colgate, coming to us as a preferred walk-on, but is a very quality player. Looking forward to seeing him compete this August. 3 junior college transfers that are new this summer. Cam White, who's a 3-for-2 safety out of Northwest Mississippi. We're going to wear number 10. Big kid, can flat out run. Another guy that can run is the next one, Cam Watts. Cam's from NEO, A&M in Oklahoma Junior College by way of Tulsa Union. Tulsa Union product there. Cam is a 4-for-3, which means he's got 3 years eligibility, could redshirt, not planning on that. Cam's a corner, will also play our spur or nickel, can play both of those. All right, and then the last one's Jason Lloyd. Jason's a 4-for-3 tight end transfer from San Mateo out in California, and so again comes into us as a sophomore in eligibility. And then the last one is Henry Columbi, transfer from Utah State, quarterback, coming to us. He'll come as a preferred walk-on, and Henry is a guy obviously we're familiar with, but looking forward to him starting his first day. His first day will start with us tomorrow. Okay, we got a few departures of note. Myler Royals, the first one. Myler didn't meet Texas Tech student-athlete expectations, and so he is no longer on our roster. 2 other guys no longer on our roster, John Scott, Hakeem White. Both of those are for medical reasons. Okay, and then Xavier Benson. I'll refer to Xavier's statement from a couple weeks ago, but certainly we support Xavier 100% as a football program. His health, his well-being is of our number one priority. Mental health is a very important issue right now. Xavier has all the support from our staff, trainers, our medical staff, our coaching staff, the whole time. Jax Welch. Jax is retired. Jax graduated this summer and is going into Texas Tech School of Law. So we're excited for him. Jack will do great things. Tremendous member of our program over the last year. Really, what a cool story. Came as a walk-on, earned a scholarship, valuable leader for our team, but we're happy to watch Jax. Doesn't go without some tears, I can tell you that. But, on both ends, we're excited for him. And then the last one is TJ Vasher, not departing the team. TJ is just going to use this weekend to focus on academics as he finishes up summer school classes through the next 3 days. Anticipate him starting with our team, starting back with our team early next week. So that is not a departure, but it's just of note because I know you guys and girls won't be out there. But that's a few of the updates, roster updates. Just a recap of the last couple weeks. The NCAA gave us these walkthroughs with an hour meeting, hour walkthroughs. We were able to use our helmet with the visor and the new splash guard underneath it for the last 2. We had 9 walkthroughs. Kind of was referring to them as OTAs, just in my own terms, because that's kind of what the NFL does. T-shirt and shorts, although we did use the helmet Monday and Tuesday. Didn't speed up the walkthrough any, though, but those were good. Man, I would love to have them every year, and I would even take some of them in place of spring ball. But that was a great learning platform and situation for a lot of our true freshmen and our JC and grad transfers that actually got in here. So I think that was a great learning experience for them as they kind of transition now into training camp, which starts tomorrow. The COVID update I know went out yesterday. I briefly mentioned it a while ago, but proud of our guys as we had no positive test. And then the schedule. Last thing of note is just the schedule. Obviously, we're going to see some changes in the Big 12 schedule coming up. We anticipate that in the next few days or even into early next week, but we're excited to host Houston Baptist in a home game here in Jones AT&T Stadium, and excited to have 5 Big 12 games here in Lubbock to get to play in front of our crowd. So those are just some updates programmatically. Matt, we want to go ahead and open it up for questions. Don Williams, as always, we want to go ahead and open it up for some questions. I can't see you, but I know you're on there.
Can you hear me now?
I got you, Don.
Can you follow up on personnel? Caden Leggett, what's his status?
Caden Leggett, yes, on the team.
And nobody. There's been a lot of discussion of opt-outs around college football with some high-profile players choosing not to play this year. Did you have any discussions along those lines, or anybody consider that?
You know, Don, I don't know personally if any one of our guys have personally considered it. I haven't had any individual conversations with any of them at that point. At this point, you know, I know certainly these guys are able to do what they feel like is best in terms of them, and we'll support them, and we'll support them from a scholarship standpoint. They know that. We'll reiterate that tonight, but no, not right now, Don.
And Simon Gonzalez, what has happened with him since he was suspended back in the spring?
He's been reinstated. He's back in the team.
And can you say when that happened? How long has he been back doing team activities?
Some point this summer. To be honest with you, I don't know. Well, yeah, this summer. How about that?
And can you talk about beyond Travis Koontz? What's the expectations for finding depth at the tight end position?
Yeah.
Some of the people that are kind of unproven at that spot.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. You know, right now in that room, Travis Koontz, Connor Killian. You mentioned Simon Gonzalez, certainly Jason Lloyd, who we've added from San Mateo, John Holcomb, who is here as a true freshman from out here in West Texas. That'll be the room. Jaden York is a preferred walk-on that we've added to the room. So I think those 6 guys are in there right now. Yeah, it's going to be a good competition. Travis, I like the way he's come back off of quarantine and through the summer. He's done good work. You know, Travis is a guy that seems like he is how he should as a second-year junior college player in this offense, and seems more confident, Don, in what he's doing, and I think he'll be a good player for us. But where are the other reps coming from? Certainly a good question. You know, Killian's played for really the last 2 years in a role and always had a good role. He wants to expand that role. Lloyd's been brought in here to provide depth and compete for a position. Simon certainly has the talent. He can run and catch, and John Holcomb can flat out run. And he's smart. He's tough. A little underweight, you know, which we knew. And that's fine with a high school tight end, but doesn't mean he can't play. But you know, over the next, you know, we're going to have a 5-week training camp now. We'll be able to tell real quick how physical can some of those guys be, because Lloyd and Simon and as well as Holcomb have never done it here with us. So certainly that's going to be a big competition throughout training camp.
All right, we'll go to Carlos Silva.
Can you hear me, Coach?
I can, and I can see you. Hi, Carlos.
Technology works well with me.
It's cool.
I guess just overall, now that you actually have a September 12th date, I guess do you kind of feel like the focus is a little bit more to normalcy now, especially with football operations starting tomorrow, kind of like normal with practices and stuff, or is there still a little bit of in the back of the mind that the players still know this is different?
No, I think we all recognize that it's different, Carlos, 100%. You don't normally wear masks. You don't normally have a splash guard. You don't normally have every other locker in our locker room or sit in the cash training table facility spread out. You know, that's not normal. So I think we're going to be reminded every single day it's not normal. You know, Matt Wells got to have a shield on at practice or a mask. Yeah, that's not normal. But, I think on the flip side of it, you got an opener. You got a September 12th opener. You're starting practice tomorrow, and these guys are excited to start practice. And just talking to the leadership committee after our workout on Tuesday, they're excited to start hitting and tackling, throwing and catching balls, and doing more stuff than obviously you can as a walkthrough. It's as close, Carlos, to what we do, coaching and playing, and none of us have been able to do it for close to 5 months now, right? So yes, normal? No, this whole year will not be normal. Look what we're doing right here. This isn't normal, I'm looking over here at these that's not a message board, but whatever these things are, and I see you, but I didn't see Don, and, Jarrett's laughing in the background, and he wouldn't do that if he was normally in the audience, I could just talk a long time about it, but no, there's nothing normal about what we're doing. But yet, can we simplify it as coaches and keep the main thing, and stay safe, do everything we can within all the things that the medical staff has given us to do, and keep our kids healthy and safe, keep our coaches healthy and safe for our families and our players and their families. That'll always be the priority. But yeah, we're going to play ball, and we're going to do it safely and healthy, and we're excited about it.
Last one for me, because I know there's a bunch of other people here. I know recently you all did the Red Raider walk, and Tony Bradford was kind of one of the guys that kind of started that. I guess, can you just speak to him being a sophomore and him showing those leadership qualities? I know he had mentioned that he felt like he showed that in high school. I guess what can you foresee from him going into this year after a freshman year and now going into a sophomore year, where it seems like he's kind of one of the team leaders and potentially a captain material now?
Yeah, a lot can be said for recruiting leaders. We didn't make him into a leader. We recruited a leader. He was that way for Coach K at North Shore High School, which is why they went a long ways. Tremendous leader. We knew that early in the recruiting process as soon as we met him. And Coach K, who I got a lot of respect for down there at North Shore. But Tony was a leader last year as a true freshman. He's been given a platform. He uses it well. He's got, I think, good respect and rapport amongst his teammates, but he is able to articulate his thoughts and his vision, and he's been a great leader for us, and not just in those walks that you mentioned, okay, in terms of social injustice walks and being active there, but in the community service, in our locker room, and within around our program. So I look for great things for him. What a great young man, and a great representative of Texas Tech football.
Go to Jarrett Johnson. As a reminder, your raise your hand function is at the bottom of your screen. But we'll go to Jarrett now.
Hey, Coach. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Jarrett?
I'm good. Ready to talk football.
Go for it.
My first question is about Columbia transferring in, and he had said that he was going to petition for a waiver with the NCAA. What's the status of that, and just what does he bring to the program?
Yeah. The status of it is it's in process with our compliance department and him and his people, and so no reading on that at all by any means right now, but it's a process that's been started. I think what he brings is he brings a guy into the QB room that, well, the obvious, he's been in this offense for 2 years. There'll be not much has changed, not many signals have changed, and some of it has, but a lot of it stays the same. So the similarities, are you able to take what you know and slow the game down and go use your talents and abilities on the field? That'll be the key for him. And so it'll be that's our job as coaches, to bring competitive depth into the program in every position and come in and compete. Anything else past that is no promises have been made for anything, but the promise to come in and compete certainly has, and we fulfill that promise not just in the QB room, but in all those rooms. And so that will be interesting to see where he's at. I don't know. He didn't get to go through the walkthroughs. He'll start tomorrow. Will be his first day.
All right, and then one more question. Just how has recruiting changed for you and Texas Tech specifically due to the coronavirus? Doing
this stuff right here, right? Zooms, virtual tours. I think it's, Jared, as you've seen with some of the, I think just letting how recruiting's played out is maybe as general as I can say it, but it's a little easier to I think to be more invested in a lot of kids when they've already been on your campus because the face-to-face contact has been there from them coming to see us. That's important. I think the best part of Texas Tech is the part that is not you're not seeing, and that's our people, that's our coaches, our staff, our recruiting staff, the fans. Talked to a kid very, very recently that we just recently offered that the first thing he said was about the atmosphere, Red Raider Nation, Raider Power in that basketball game that Saturday, the first Saturday in March. Not, a week away from, when the whole coronavirus, maybe 10 days away, whatever it was, hitting. But that's in his mind. That's fresh in his mind. That's different than a kid that hasn't been on campus. So I certainly think that's a hurdle every school's having to jump over, and I think we've done it well at times, and I think there's times where it's harder to get a great deep connection with the kid and his parents if they haven't been here. But we're adapting. We're ready, for anything, whether we get the kids on campus this fall or maybe in more likelihood not getting them on campus with the dead period potentially being extended.
Go to Sean Dillon, Rock 101.
Hello, Coach.
Hi, Sean. How are you?
Absolutely great. How do you see the 9+1 game schedule help and or hurt your team?
Oh, I got past that. Once the decision was made, I got past evaluating it real quick, and Sean tried to get into, okay, what does that mean for our program? I got into the one more week of training camp. Okay, how can we make it good? How do I spread it across the volume of practice so there's a great mix of being physical, tough, and recovery? I've got to mix both of them so we're fresh going into the first game, but also for the long haul of the season. We can't just add a whole week. You got into trying to evaluate, we got 5 home games. Now we only got 4 on the road. Don't go to UTEP, all right? That game plan's passed. Now it's Houston Baptist. The 9 other opponents, obviously the locations, Sean, is not going to change, but who we have first, right, could certainly change when we get the schedule. So, it all kind of just hit at the same time as some of this other stuff, and I really didn't evaluate, man, is this good for us or is it bad for us? I know this, Sean, we're going to go get in the Big 12 fight. It's just going to be 2 games earlier now. We're going to go get in it, and I'm ready to compete, and I know our players will be when we get to that point.
And last one for me, Coach. How many of the transfer players could fans see starting versus Houston Baptist?
Yeah, I respect that question. It's good. It's a good question. I don't have the answer for you on August 6th. I'll give you that answer after 2 scrimmages, though. But I will say this pretty point blank. You don't take a junior college guy, whether he's got 3 years or 4 years, 3 years or 2 years. You don't take a grad transfer that has 1 or 2 years and not expect them to come in and get in the mix immediately. So expecting them to get in the mix and them earning that, 2 different things, right? But they're going to have to earn it. They won't come in and be number 1 on the depth chart, and they won't jog out with the 1s right out of the gate. It'll be 2s or 3s, and now it may not take a day or 2 for some of them to move up. We'll see. They will earn it, though. They're going to earn that respect from their teammates, and they're going to earn that starting spot. They knew that. We're very transparent in the recruiting process. I think that's why, recruits and their parents that like a straightforward coach and coaching staff that is honest about playing time. We ain't promising starting jobs. I can't promise all Big 12, and I can't promise the NFL, so I'm not going to, but I can assure them they will absolutely be in the mix very quickly. They need to earn the extra reps and earn moving up the depth chart. Do I expect all those transfers and grad transfers to play big roles early in the year? I absolutely do. Starting on the first snap, let you know in a couple weeks. Actually 3 weeks because we're extended now, okay? After that second scrimmage, I'll have a better idea.
Go to Ryan King.
Hey, Coach. One of my first questions was kind of off that a little bit with the actual game starting a couple of these weeks later. Does that help you as far as, since you guys didn't have a spring and you've seen it like professional where guys are getting back so quickly, you're getting injuries, does this help you that you have a little bit extra time and that you don't feel as rushed to get in there and immediately start going really fast in camp?
Yeah, Ryan, and I think the other smart thing we have to do, and we've already done it, is to gauge the volume of how much we got in the meetings and the walkthroughs over 9 days, and then understand that we can't just keep making that extra. I can't make the week of September 5th extra. We've got to kind of spread things out. It does, I think, give true freshmen, it gives the newcomers, grad transfers, JUCO kids, it obviously gives them a whole nother week of meetings and learning and that to establish their roles, but also some of our returning guys time, because none of them got spring ball outside of 4 practices.
Also, with you've mentioned a couple times I've noticed over different availabilities about you're going to be prepared if you get COVID. You guys have things ready to go. How do you, with a season that could be so disjointed, you don't know what it's going to look like day to day, week to week, how do you make sure the guys stay locked in and are ready for any of these different circumstances when it could be called off at any time, games can be moved? How can you make sure your guys are ready to go and they're ready for a strange season that's probably going to have different hiccups throughout?
Yeah, certainly I think that's the case. I would answer that question exactly like we've handled it since March the 12th, when the last time I addressed them, live in the Spike Dykes room when I didn't know. I think we were very transparent. We were very honest. We addressed the situation on multiple Zooms and FaceTimes. All the communication that we had over the last, 3 months from March until June when they got in here for some voluntary work, there has to be some recall of that in terms of how transparent we are about we don't know this, we do know this. And we'll continue to talk to our guys just like that. They're grown men. They can handle the truth. They understand that there's some uncertainty, but they also understand, and they've done a great job. I'm very proud of them we can control the things that we can control, and that's what we need to stress out about. And that's what kind of teammate am I? What kind of student am I once I get into school? The effort I put forth into training camp and practice and meetings and all those kind of things. And if something gets taken away, then we'll deal with it when that happens. And probably something's going to happen, and we're preparing for that. We will not walk around here on eggshells. We will not guess and stress ourselves out. We'll deal with today. We're going to wake up. We're going to win the day. We're going to have great meetings tonight. We can come in here tomorrow morning and win day one. And that's all we can do is continue to move day to day.
Go to David Collier.
There you go. Can you hear me, Coach?
I got you, Dave.
Kind of following up what Ryan said there, it just seems like a weird thing, but and you had mentioned this at the Touchdown Club interview, I think last week, that you guys have protocols set. Like, if for some reason you were out, who would be the head coach at that point? Have you guys figured out that situation?
I'm not finalized yet. We've kind of done it from the head coach to the 10 full-time assistants to every one of our GAs, our recruiting staff, our ops staff. I've done it in the training room. I've done it in the equipment room, strength and conditioning. Every department that touches our players has that plan. Not finalized yet. I don't mind sharing it with y'all once I kind of do get it finalized. Not ready to do that yet, but I would tell you that's not just in process. That is, I've been working on that for a little while. Because there's a lot of things that go into it, right? I mean, if it was me and I'm asymptomatic, but I'm positive and so I feel fine, I can do a vast majority of it just like this. I can address the team. I can do all the practice stuff, our staff stuff. So there's certainly a lot of things that it's not just about who the guy is on game day. But that's an important part of it. I'll address it when the time's right.
Okay, and got a couple questions for my friends up in Amarillo. You kind of mentioned Holcomb, but could you maybe, I guess, speak a little more on the potential of him playing this year, maybe LB Moore as well?
Yeah, you talk about 2 young freshmen up in the Panhandle, and Wellington and Amarillo, Tascosa. LB Moore is a guy that we're going to put at defensive end. He's already gained weight since he's been here. LB is very athletic, a basketball player, long arms, raw, has kind of played with his hand down and up in an outside backer rush type position. But, it'll be interesting to see him with and John as they get into it, and how physical can they be. That's a different game in the trenches in the front 7 on both sides of the ball for young guys like that. Maybe they're just fine. I don't know. I think the results we'll see them here, in the next couple of weeks. Holcomb can flat run. He can run. It's a lot of that position for our offense, especially the way Yost likes to flex him out. He can run, he can catch, and he's picked up the offense fairly quickly. So, what it kind of comes down to both of those guys is the level of physicality that they can produce right now, or are they a little ways away? Not sure, but I know this. They're both long and they can run. We didn't miss on those two guys. I know that right now. You're on mute.
Yeah, got it back. Last one, I'll let everybody else ask questions, not Amarillo related. Dalton Reagan coming off the year that he had, what does he need to do to build on what was a pretty successful year last season?
Yeah, stay healthy. He's a guy that's not very big, probably never going to be real big. He's tried to gain weight and has a little bit, and he's gotten stronger. Dalton Reagan works his butt off. That dude's West Texas tough is what that guy is. I love him. He's got great hands. He's a good teammate. I look for him to have a good year. We've got a lot of competition at that H spot, a lot. And that'll be another interesting battle to see. Mannix has kind of reshaped his body over quarantine and the summer. I'm proud of McLean. He's trimmed up. He looks a little quicker. Keyshawn Carter, of course, he finished really strong. Great game against Texas last year. He's got the speed, a playmaker. We're going to keep him inside for right now. He certainly could go outside, but Keyshawn's a major factor there. And then I'm going to tell you the young guy, Miles Price from the Colony High School in the Metroplex. He's a playmaker. With the ball in his hands, he can make guys miss. He's got speed. He'll get looked at in the return game. I know Tomerdal's excited about looking at him. So, a competitive H position inside that slot this year.
Go to Pete Christie.
Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
Gotcha. How are you?
Good to see you, Coach.
You too, man.
There were a lot of even uncertainty at the beginning. Would we even get this thing started? Knowing now that you got practice starting tomorrow, this is the first hurdle. How nice is it to get practice going tomorrow?
Yeah, it's great. Excited about it. These players are. It's always the day before, and we got this conference and meetings tonight, getting ready for tomorrow. And yeah, you can feel it a little different in the staff meeting this morning with the coaches. They're excited to get on the grass, besides a walkthrough. So certainly everybody's excited about that typical first day.
And now that we know who you're playing in the first game, Houston Baptist, what's your initial thoughts on getting to play at the Jones? And what do you want to say to Red Raider fans? Because obviously not all Red Raider fans are going to get to be in the Jones.
Yeah, I can't wait to play in front of those ones. It's just, again, another circumstance that, we're all dealt with. And it's out of every one of our hands how many people get to come into the stadium. But I know this. If I know anything about Red Raider Nation and our fans, the ones that do come will be loud and boisterous for all 6 home games this year. I know this. The ones that can't come and they watch, they'll be tremendously supportive. That's what makes it special. That's what makes Texas Tech a special place. It has helped us in recruiting here. It's actually one of the factors I came here was the fan base and the passion that I had heard over so many years of how it is when you play in here in the Jones. And we understand this year is going to look different. I'm not worried about that, but I respect and I'm appreciative of the loyal support by all Red Raiders, and it'll just look a little different this year, Pete.
We're going to go to Sheehan with Dave Campbell's Texas Football.
Hey,
Coach, good to
What's
see
up, man?
you. First question. I know that sort of Big 12 teams have typically, with 3 non-conference games, kind of gone to like an FCS, FBS opponent, and then maybe a Power 5. What kind of went into the decision-making process when trying to prioritize what kind of game you guys wanted for your non-conference slate?
Well, happened pretty quick. Kirby and a lot of his peers, they get these schedules done, about a decade in advance, right? I mean, it's they've usually been working on it a long time. And obviously the Power 5 was out because of everybody, the other 4 Power 5 conference decisions. And so you're left with FCS and you're left with a group of 5 schools. And, I know Kirby and Tony Hernandez worked diligently at the options. Who needs week 12 on the road, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And was it week, I said week 12, I apologize, September 12th, week 2. You guys know what I meant there. But for a long time, until just a few days ago, 12 games was on the table for the Big 12, certainly an option. So, you didn't know if you were replacing all 3 of them. Did we just have to replace Alabama A&M? Did we just have to replace Arizona? I think so. There were a lot of variables and a lot of options, and it all worked out with us and Houston Baptist, and so we'll go with them, and we'll be happy to play them. I know that.
From a contact tracing perspective, obviously you guys are not going into camp and workouts where the whole team's working together. So in a situation where you had somebody who was practicing test positive, how would you guys handle that? And would you sort of have to look at camps and practices? How exactly would you handle that?
Yeah, that'll be through our medical staff, obviously, City of Lubbock, and what is close contact tracing, what is not. I can tell you this, from the minute every coach and every player walks in this building, the goal is to remove that, right, or eliminate that risk of contact tracing. The biggest thing with contact tracing is outside the complex, and taking a disciplined approach as men, as coaches, as players, as staff, our support staff. There's sacrifices we're all going to need to make this year, but trying to reduce it as much as possible once we get in, from the way we lift to run to the visor and the splash guard, maybe even the ski hood, to pulling up the gaiters when they're on the sidelines. And that's a lot of people that have to do that, coaches included, and we'll certainly do all that, and we'll do our part. And so what you're trying to do is reduce that, right?
Yeah. Last question. So from a recruiting perspective, obviously, I imagine that relationships and all that sort of stuff become even more important during this time. But when you do have kids that you're trying to recruit, are there any specific ways that you found to try to especially make tech stand out, or is it really just sort of on sort of those most basic things?
Yeah, I think it's sincere, constant communication, whether you're writing handwritten letters, or you're doing Zooms with parents, high school coaches, FaceTimes, all that stuff. I think it's just consistency, I think, and sincerity, being able to let them see you and your real personality and my flaws and whatever. You're just trying to be real, and it's about all you can do. You can't show them around. They can't be on campus, and so, but that's for every school. So we're no different than anybody else. You are trying to establish those relationships like you mentioned.
Go to Brandon Solis.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Hey, Brandon, how are you?
Good. We talked about the departure of Mylar, but it's kind of like an opportunity for the rest of the guys behind him, like Trey Cleveland, for example. Could you see him maybe stepping up, and kind of what do you want to see from him to take the next step in his game? Yeah,
I think the step that Trey needs to take is just consistency. Every day, the work ethic is there. He did a nice job in the weight room this summer. He really did. He changed his body. He'll be a factor. It's up to him to be a bigger factor. That's those players' jobs to earn their roles. It's up to coaches to define the roles. I see, Loic Fungi, J.J. Sparkman, Jalen Polk, those 3 true freshmen, they're going to have a say in it. I promise you, they'll have a say in playing time. I can't wait to see the progress of Eric Ezekama. Eric has been very consistent from the day we got here. I remember saying this, I remember the whole first spring, never got hurt, played through, soreness and things like that, was very consistent. I knew he'd have a good redshirt freshman year. And all he did was in training camp and as a redshirt freshman, is he did what he did all spring. And so can he go to an all Big 12 caliber? I believe he can. I believe he's going to be a guy to be reckoned with in this league. There's several others that need to earn the right to get into that. You mentioned those newcomers, but there's guys returning, from Cameron Cantrell to Caden Leggett to TJ to, Seth Collins is now back. Seth will be a major factor. He's healthy. We need to keep him healthy. Seth has got one speed, and that's 1,000 miles an hour. And I love watching that kid compete. So he'll be in the mix. Absolutely, Seth's going to play. So we have, I think, done a good job in recruiting to add to the outside and the inside receiver, and there's major depth, and those guys are going to have to prove it day after day.
Going back to your quarterback room real quick, adding Henry Columbia, a familiar guy to y'all, what can a guy like Alan Bowman learn from him and his experience and just getting him added to the quarterback room?
Oh, I think not just that combination, which is a good question, but I think everybody learns. I think each quarterback learns from each other. I think Henry will learn from Mav and Allen. I think Allen can learn from a Donovan Smith and from Henry, just in ways, whether it's how you ask questions, it's preparation. I think they all learn from each other. I really do. I believe Coach Yost does a great job of creating that atmosphere in the QB room to where that room is competitive. There's not multiple guys playing in that room. There's only one guy playing, and we all know it. But it's a competitive room, but yet they all pull for each other. They're all, I don't say best friends, but they're all friends, and they're all supportive of each other, which is extremely important when you're building a room and you're building a program. And so Henry will come in and add to the room, but certainly, Allen, Donovan, and Mav, as well as Bryson, who's a sophomore kid that is from here in Lubbock, a walk-on, and he will add to the room. Now we got 5, and that's what we need.
All right, we will end with Don Williams.
Following up real quick on a couple things you just talked about, Seth Collins going to be inside this camp or outside?
Outside. I believe he could go inside, though, at any point, Don. Just like I mentioned Keyshawn could go out, but Keyshawn will start in, and Seth will start out.
Talking a moment ago about practice adjustments to your practice schedule, can you elaborate, be a little more specific on what your schedule will be over the next month? When you plan first scrimmage, when you plan second scrimmage, kind of some of the high spots on what your schedule is
Sure.
for preparation?
Yeah. The first 5 days won't change because that's an NCAA helmet, basically half pads. Practice 5 will be full pads. What we will do is kind of space out, Don, the 2 scrimmages. We'll have 2 major scrimmages. Matt Dowdy will get you guys that schedule, and so you'll know. We'll have a couple of mini scrimmages, like a red zone scrimmage and a special team scrimmage, kind of throughout the camp. I believe the second scrimmage would be the 29th, which would be 2 weeks before the first game. Is that correct? I don't have it in front of me, Don. Matt's going to get you guys. He'll get you guys the schedule of those practices and kind of what type they are and how long they are and what's going to go on. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
29th, that's a Saturday.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks before the opener. That'll be the second and final scrimmage.
So these last couple of weeks while y'all have been doing your OTAs, so to speak, tell us a couple of guys, maybe offense and defense, who have impressed you the most, who look like they've still been able to accomplish something in terms of strength and conditioning during all the downtime.
Oh, well, as soon as I go 2, I don't ever stop at 2. I go 10 or 12.
That's fine.
Well, it's
More the better.
Yeah, I know it's something good to write about for y'all, but we're just in T-shirt and shorts, and so the reality in T-shirt and shorts, it's a couple steps for the O-line and the D-line. You're not evaluating the physicality, which that is a major part, right, of their evaluation is the physicality part. So those are very, very limited evaluations in the front 7. I've mentioned several. And they were all newcomer related. Let me talk about just maybe some returning guys that have caught my eye just in how they've run. I think Kosai Eldridge has caught my eye. He can really run. He's changed his body. We need to keep him healthy. He got kind of banged up as the year went on last year. Competition there for some of the linebacker reps. Xavier White, we've moved to running back. We did that in the spring. He was coming off shoulder surgeries in the spring, so he was going to be limited this spring, but he's smart. He's picked up a lot of stuff. It'll be fun to watch him go full speed. Xavier Townsend, I think, had a really good offseason while I was thinking about the running back, just changing his body. He's gained some weight, but it's more lean and trim. I look for him to have a great year. I can't wait. He's a good player. I'm just thinking, defensively, we moved Fry back to corner. He'll be there full-time at corner. Just from an evaluation standpoint with returners, Don, it's tough because it's just not football. It's not physical. It's not pads on. It's learning and first steps and alignments and all that. And usually the better evaluations and the more improvement comes from newcomers because they have the most to improve on.
And can you talk a little bit about Allen? And I might follow up with a question about considering that Allen has, if he's at least started 10 college football games, the fact that y'all missed 11 spring practices, does that solidify his spot relative to the other guys? Just because the other guys in that room have had little to no playing time, really no playing time as college football players in terms of Maverick and Donovan Smith, et cetera.
Well, you got a 5-week training camp, so I think if I could probably quote Coach Yost, it would be it's Allen's job to solidify that over the next 5 weeks. Certainly, if we had to play today, he would take the first snap. There's no question about that. But your reference to missing 11 spring practice is certainly valid, and so those, in a sense, will be close to being made up over training camp and with the extended week of training camp here. So it's Allen's job to solidify that role, extend his lead. It's up to him to play well. It's up to Maverick to earn more reps. Whether it's Donovan or Henry in the same conversation, it's up to them to earn those reps.